What if the biggest move for XRP isn't happening right now, but is already being set up behind the scenes? Because historically, April's been one of XRP's strongest months. And right now we're seeing a very specific setup forming. But at the same time, something much bigger just hit the market. And it could decide where crypto goes over the next few weeks. So the question is XRP going to break out or get held back by global events? Let's break it down. Of course, this is not financial advice. Please, always do your own research. I'm Caleb, and I'm glad to have you here with me. Give me a like and subscribe if you find value in this channel. I really appreciate it so much. So right now in the market, Bitcoin's hovering around the 60K mark. It hasn't really changed a whole lot. Ethereum's just chilling around $2,100. And I mean, the real story right now isn't even really crypto. It's kind of what happened last night. So following Donald Trump's announcement, the military action involving Iran could continue for at least the next two to 3 weeks. That's what he says. Who knows what that means? Is it going to go on a lot longer? It very well can, you guys. These types of things don't just end overnight. I mean, look, do you guys remember Ukraine when that started? Russia was going to deal with it real quick, no problem. And look, they're still going. So I hope it's not going to be something like that. If it is, I think markets will eventually kind of get used to it and, things will normalize again. But, I mean, you can see it clearly on all one place right now. Oil's the big mover these days, right? Crude oil prices just spiked sharply because of his announcement. Everyone was hoping maybe he'd say, "Hey, we've come to a deal, we got it covered." But to take such big pushes on like this is what we're gonna do, push them back to the Stone Age, it's a little intense, right? And markets are gonna react to that, and it pushed oil to keeping it around over $110, right? So I mean, because the Strait of Hormuz, of course, we've been hearing that a lot, but one of the most critical oil supply routes globally, right, is now part of the risk equation, and we have to kind of consider it for all of what we do, and we assess what's going on here, right? And traders are pricing in potential supply disruption. So here's how it affects everything. Is that when oil spikes like this, inflation risk goes up, right? Economic uncertainty increases, and markets shift between a more risk off environment, right? So that's why we saw stocks react violently, right? Crypto pulled back initially, and overall uncertainty increases across these markets. So looking ahead over the next 2 to 3 weeks, there's really just about two paths. There's two paths that we can go. Scenario one, the conflict continues and it's dragged on and it goes for however long it's going to go. We have no idea, right? Oil still stays elevated, climbs higher, and that's likely going to keep pressure on risk assets like crypto in the short term. So that's to be expected. Scenario two, though, tensions start easing, oil drops quickly, markets flip back to risk on, and crypto, including XRP, we can see some strong inflows return. So right now crypto isn't just reacting to itself. Like crypto, it's not this isolated market, right? It's attached to everything else. Now sometimes markets will move from one place to another, so like, right, sometimes you'll see that traditional stocks will be going up, and where's crypto going, right? And that's just because there's different, market asset classes, right? And liquidity just gets pulled from one and put to another. Now, of course, when you have major things go on, major depressions, everything drops all at once. And right now, we're seeing a bit of that. Of course, like gold and bullion they all went on a rip, right? But they've settled down a little bit. But people, are starting to buy it up, right? Silver went to what was it, $120, $122, right? And about time, because silver's been lagging for a long time. But this is where things kind of get really interesting, right? So historically, April has been one of the strongest months for XRP, and on average, XRP has seen gains around like 24% moves during April. So I mean, a quick reality check is that the average is skewed by a few big years, so it doesn't necessarily mean that every April is going to be, a green month, but it is usually, right? And we've been in a downtrend, and we probably are due for a green month, in my opinion, right? But even so, like, the trend is consistent, and it's consistent enough to pay attention to, is all I'm saying. So something to look out for, and timing matters here, because we're entering April with ongoing regulatory developments, continued institutional positioning, and a consolidating price structure, right? So that combination, that's typically when momentum starts building, right? Sorry, there's all these Canadian geese out here, and they all came back early, and it's like they're check it out. I don't know if you can see them, but I think they're a little disappointed. They're a little disappointed because it's still cold here. It's not spring, and this is going to be my first white Easter in a long time. But nonetheless, back to the stories at hand. There's ongoing regulatory developments. There's continual institutional positioning, and there's a consolidating price structure that's been happening for a while, right? And the momentum is there, you guys. The momentum's there, and it's just a matter of time before the price catches up with it. Okay, so the only question that we're gonna get is what's gonna be the catalyst, and do you think April delivers this time? If you do, let me know in the comments if you think April's gonna be a green month, or you think it's gonna drop lower below $1. It might. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, I tell you what, it's time to be stacking bags. It's time to be entering into a position, in my personal opinion. That would be a great buying opportunity, right? You don't want to miss that kind of opportunity. So make sure you have some dry powder on these exchanges, right? Like, you don't want to be stuck where it's like you have some cash in your bank and you're like, oh, okay, Black Swan event, they bombed everything, and now we have a great buying opportunity, but I can't get my cash on the exchanges, because that's how the exchanges works, guys. It's not like they always freeze up. They always freeze up, and everyone's trying to get a piece of this action, and the exchanges want to make money off of people, so they don't want to have a run on themselves. So things get slowed up, and it's like all of a sudden, and it won't be like they won't say, oh, account's frozen, but it'll just be like, oh, we need to re-verify. Oh, we need you. Like, I've seen it done. This is what happens. So there's places that are a little bit better. Like, if you're in America, Caleb and Brown is a great option. They I don't get anything from a referral from them. I'm just saying, like, it's a great place where you actually have a real broker, and you can call them and say, hey, like, I wanna put a sell order here, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, and you can, right? And you have a real person that you can talk to, and you can get your orders filled, because they have a large pool of liquidity globally to buy from all these exchanges all at once, and it kind of takes the pressure off. If you don't want to use them, like, I just suggest having multiple exchanges that you can go to, right? And that way, if one's frozen up, you can go to another, right? And that works both for getting off too. On ramps, you need to have a bunch of on ramps, doesn't hurt, and having a bunch of off ramps doesn't hurt, right? So just keep that in mind. It's not as easy as you think. Can't just things get frozen up, right? When there's the moments of high volatility in either direction, going down or going up. Okay, that's just the nature of the beast right now. That's how it is. So one thing most people, I think, may be missing as well, is that there's this growing attention around upcoming U.S. crypto regulation. Now, of course, if you're paying attention, it doesn't seem like something that you're not that you've missed, right? Because everybody watching this space wants to know when this clarity framework is going to come out, right? But to the average Joe, they're not paying attention. They don't know, and they don't even realize why it's important, right? But there's nothing finalized yet. It's still being developed. Markets don't wait for regulation. They front run it, right? So if clarity starts coming in, even partially, it reduces uncertainty for institutions, right? So it's already begun. It's already been beginning. It's already begun through the years of legal scrutiny, right? And this clarity, it improves, right? It's gonna improve all these markets, I think, eventually, right? XRP benefits. Some might say XRP doesn't necessarily, XRP already has legal clarity. They're only crypto with legal clarity, really. They won in the SEC lawsuit. Annalisa Torres, the judge, declared XRP a commodity, right? It's not a security of Ripple, so they already have it. But some might say that it's almost better if there's no Clarity Act yet, because then XRP is in a position where it's the only one with clarity. I think a rising tide, raises all ships, and Brad Garlinghouse kind of even mentioned that too. Like, they're supporters of everybody winning in this space, because then it's good for the crypto space in general, right? And that's what they want, and that's cool to see actually from them, because when the lawsuit dropped, there was a big divide between the crypto community, and everybody was like hating on them, and we're kind of rooting that XRP was going to go down with the ship. And I don't know why, but you have people that have different camps in crypto. I don't really get it, but that's how people are. People are tribal by nature, right? So whatever, you find something and they decide it's like a sports team, but it's like you're making an investment, guys. So like, there's multiple winners. You don't have to have one winner and all losers. These assets do different things, right? So it's like, just I don't know. If you hate XRP, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear it. If you love it, let me know. What's your favorite? Tell me. We could talk about it. But so whatever. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So if we start to see a big surge, I may just be a little cautious that there'll be a flash dump and it'll be a bit of a bull trap. And then after everybody's liquidated, after all the people putting in longs, because how could it go lower and why would it go lower? Because we got all this positive news, the war's over, blah 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 blah. It's just a classic setup where some people with big boy money are gonna wipe you out. So don't over leverage yourself. I think crypto's volatile enough. There's no need to be putting in leveraged longs and shorts unless you absolutely know what you're doing and you're a pro, right? If you're a pro, then good for you. I hope you win. I hope you make it big. But for me, that's just a little too much risk for my appetite, right? So I don't know. We got historically April as a strong month. Let's hope that continues. Regulatory catalysts are building. A stable price structure, I think, is going to be resolved and worked through. Hopefully this month. And macro pressures from global events. We'll see what happens with that. But the next move. What I'm trying to say is the next move it does not just depend on what's going on in crypto. There's a lot of factors at play. It might depend on the oil, war, macro sentiment. I don't know. We're gonna see. So let me know what your number is, what you think's gonna happen this month. Where do you think XRP is gonna be by the end of 2026? Drop your price prediction in the comments. I'd love to hear them, get an idea where everybody's at. If you find value in these updates and these videos, please throw a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Going to continue coming out with great content. I want to provide good content for you guys and little updates here and there. And you know what? We're going to be winners in this space, but you got to stick with it to be sick with it. That was an old saying that a surfer told me when I was living in California. You got to stick with it to be sick with it. Have conviction in why you're invested in this stuff in the first place, right? So hey, until the next one, you guys, stay positive, be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow.